Welcome to another edition of New Music Today here on the WePodcast Network. I'm Corey Robertson. Sometimes music can be a family business. We know it's always a business, but sometimes a family business. And I'm very pleased to be joined in the basement studio this time around by Peter Raffoul. Pete.
Thank you so much for having me, Corey. Appreciate
Thanks for
it,
coming.
So
many Raffouls to choose from, and I got you the first one.
Hope you're happy with that. Yeah.
Peter, you got some exciting things on coming on the horizon. I want to talk about all of those things. I want to start though with really what got you into music. A lot of times people tell me, "Oh, my parents always played music around the house," or Mom always sang in the kitchen. Music's clearly always been in your household.
Definitely. It's that and then some. So obviously the singing around the house is always happening, but the constant musicians, coming by and the rehearsals at the house and the songwriting taking place right in front of you and just your dad doing it for a living. It's one thing to be a musician that enjoys playing, but it's when it supports your life for, the 30, 40 years that it's done for my dad. Now it's worn off for sure on me and my brother Billy, So, yeah.
So for you, at what point, was there like a day, was there a moment where maybe it was like a switch that flips in your head that was like, okay, well, this is just the norm, right? You're growing up, you're a little kid, and then you're a teenager, and then so on and so on. But at some point where you're like, my kids are in music lessons, and you never know where it's going to take them. Was there a moment, a time where you kind of had that switch where you're like, I'm now more than just taking piano lessons. This is something for me.
Yeah, well, when I started to, when the gigging started to become very, weekly and you're playing more and more and you realize that even when you're not playing, that all you're thinking about is when you're going to play next and starting to write songs. I think that's when it kind of took a turn from, well, I enjoy this and I've been around it my whole life, but when it takes a turn into this is going to be like what I want to, do all the time, when you just notice that your mind starts to revolve around that one thing and that, kind of happened when the gigs started to become very frequent for me. So I'd say, the last couple of years really became like a big, always being around it before then, but those last couple of years when you started to just nonstop try and write songs and try and play gigs, that's kind of when it all flipped.
So let me take me through that creative process that goes beyond, okay, I know a bunch of cool songs and I can play an instrument and sing. And so now I'm playing in a band, maybe it's a cover band and you're doing that kind of stuff. But now you're writing your own songs. What's your creative spark on your own musical ideas?
That's a good question because I feel like, sometimes you're inspired by so many different things, you know what I mean? Like, obviously my dad and my brother being songwriters, it's, they're huge influences on me and they've got great bodies of work already. And I think just being around them writing, but also trying to draw from your own life experiences is a great way to do that, I mean, the better you get at it, I feel like you can write drawing from other people's experiences and, movies that you've watched and other songs that you've heard and even just conversations that you have with people, But off the hop, it was drawing from my own life experiences. Definitely, that's the way to start writing for me anyway. And, that's how that started,
Yeah. I talk to a lot of people, about that personal connection that music has with you. And I believe we all have it. I really, really do. I believe just as a guy who likes to listen to music, as somebody who, even, maybe you're that guy that has a guitar riff in the corner or you took piano lessons when you were a kid, that kind of thing. There's still that connection to you. It's such a personal experience.
It's music in everybody's life. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yeah.
It takes you back to places you remember.
1,000%.
And sometimes it's a healer. Right?
I definitely think of that for sure. I think it's like, nothing can calm you down for me anyway. Like listening to music can do that for you. When you're playing it, I feel like it's just a whole nother level. You get to really, it's just like self-medicating. Like you can just calm yourself down. You can put yourself in a certain mood. And sometimes it'll come out in whatever it is that you're writing. So if you're in a certain mood that day, it'll obviously be reflected in what you're doing.
I want to talk about this first song that I'm going to get you to play for me. This song is the song that kind of is how I found you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. When I heard it.
Yeah.
I love this song, man. I really do. So it's called For You.
Yeah.
So tell me about it. Tell me about what the song is for you.
Well, so I was about to be going into the studio to record an EP out in Royal Oak at Rust Belt Studios, and I had a good body of songs that we were going to go in there and do, but I felt like I didn't have one that just kind of reflected how I felt about music in general, and you know, it's being 22, you can write about so many things. You know, you got your relationships and you got your growing up feelings and things like that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to do something that was just straight about the music, and it was very recently after Tom Petty had passed away, and you know, big fan of his. So the song originally was going to be how he inspired me, and I started to write it, and then before I knew it, I found ways to put other, you know, major influences in the music world
Yeah.
into the song, and it just kept on flowing and flowing, and by the end of the night I had this, you know, this song, and I was really happy with it. And it was kind of the story of a working musician who wants to be great, and for these reasons, because of these people, you know. So that's kind of how that happened for me.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Let's get you to play this first song.
Let's do it.
This one's called For You, and this is Peter Rafool here on New Music Today, right here on the WePodcast Network.
Thank you so much. It's a cold winter morning, and I'm just getting home. I walked in the door, dropped my things on the floor, and she asked me what is wrong. It's been a long night, I'm not gonna lie, and the bar, it wasn't great. She said, why do you play there every night if they don't appreciate? Because I wanna write like Dylan and like Tom. I wanna play like Elton, sing like Paul. I wanna move like Jagger with hair like Page. I wanna play every night on a great big stage for you. That's what I wanna do. And honey, where are you going? Gonna be late. It's 7:45, got a 20-minute drive, and my gig starts at 8. And don't you ever wonder what it would be like if you tried something else? It crossed my mind 1 or 2 times, I was lying to myself. Because I wanna write like Dylan and like Tom. I wanna play like Elton, sing like Paul. I wanna move like Jagger with hair like Page. I wanna play every night on a great big stage for you. That's what I wanna do. I gas the car, pack my bags, grab my keys, a pair of jeans, and I'm on my way. On Highway 3, a summer's day, scared as hell, but I know so well that I gotta make a change. I gotta make a change. Because I wanna write like Dylan and like Tom. I wanna play like Elton, sing like Paul. I wanna move like Jagger with hair like Page. I wanna play every night on a great big stage. I want a heart like Jody, to love like Mom. I want a soul like Billy, to carry on. I want a world with Lennon, living life in peace. I wanna write like Dylan and like Tom. I wanna play like Elton, sing like Paul. I wanna move like Jagger with hair like Page. I wanna play every night on a great big stage for you. That's what I wanna do. For you.
It's Peter Rafool and For You here on New Music Today. I love that song. It was the hook that really got me on that one.
Thank you, man. Yeah, cool.
When you're when your songwriting process, when you're writing, and I don't know that there's ever the same answer for this.
Okay.
I love asking the question,
Yeah.
right? like what comes? Like the melody starts to come. You already have a lyric in your head. Sometimes it's both.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question right there.
Sure,
Because
yeah.
when I was starting out writing, I'm still in the very early stages of finding out who I am as a writer. But when
Yeah.
I started out writing, I was like, man, how did that come to play? Like, how did he figure out to put this with that? And
Yep.
it's never the same answer twice. I mean, it hasn't been,
Yeah,
obviously there's only so many ways you can do it, but you never know when you're going to start. Sometimes you come up with the tagline at the end of the chorus,
Yep.
and sometimes you get a theme that you're thinking of, or sometimes you can find a catchy melody for a verse and you just ride that into something else, or a chord progression gets you. But
Yeah.
it really can just be however that starts, whatever sparks you first. It's just whatever you're doing.
In that song, and we talked about it before you started playing, about different musical influences, and
Yeah.
if it wasn't, painfully obvious, the influences specifically mentioned in the song is a decidedly classic rock feel.
Definitely.
So,
yeah.
what kind of music did you grow up on?
Yeah, just that. I mean, my dad. I didn't go a day without hearing the Beatles growing up. You know what I mean?
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
think I did. And them, but also there was hard rock too. Like, not that they weren't hard rock, but you got your Bad Company that's playing in the house. Some Zeppelin that's playing in the house, some Bob Dylan that's playing in the house to change. And it's all great. Some Bob Marley. We loved him too, and still do. Still listen to him
Yeah.
all the time. But yeah, if you check the playlists and the songs on my phone, it really does just have about everything. It's got some modern stuff, but definitely that song there goes to the sort of the classic
Here's
rock
another thing
feel.
about music for me, and I pick out of this song especially, like the third time around, and you got your theme of the chorus, and but you've changed the names.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for those who know, and for those who don't, maybe I'll call it out just a little bit. It was very personal.
Yes,
There's some very
yes,
personal things in
yeah.
there, and I find a real personal connection to music, and I sometimes wonder when I hear somebody writing a song, and I listen to those things, and I wonder, how much of yourself do you really, let into a song?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. With that, I was like, I could definitely keep this in the route where anybody who hears it can relate to, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan.
Right. Yeah.
But when I got to that part, I said, I also want to do things like the people that I love in my real, in my personal life.
Yeah.
Being my mom, my dad, my brother,
Exactly.
and the list could go long, but the
Yeah.
song would be 8 minutes then. You know what I mean?
So
But, yeah.
so family's a pretty big thing for you.
Oh, for sure. In every aspect, we support each other, and we're the reason that we're all doing it. You know what I mean? It started with the in the music with my dad and
Yep.
Billy, and they both equally inspire me.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you take lessons? I gotta believe you probably had, just
So-
a lot of guys or a lot
Yeah.
of people that came through that was, oh, here, hey kid, let me show you how to do this.
I've been spoiled that way for sure. I started off actually playing the drums when I was 9 or 10 years old, and
I knew that. I forgot about that.
and I did that for a little bit, and I loved it, and it was good to be a part of a band because But then when I wanted to get into songwriting and singing, I'm like, I can't really do that from a drum set, and so I picked this up and tried to go as fast as possible learning, and my dad is a pretty savvy. He won't tell you, but he's a pretty savvy piano player himself, and Kelly O'Shea, I don't know if you know her.
Absolutely,
Just
Kelly.
a genius, unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
you
She's
know.
her and her husband Mike are Oches, and she's a part of the Saints with your dad's
Yep,
in that
yep.
band. And she's coming in. We had Tim King lined up in here, and she's playing on Feast of Kings, all of his stuff.
She's
fantastic.
just unbelievable. You don't get to be the way that she is very often. Like I aspire to be that good at playing this thing. You know what I mean? But so she's come by, and she's like. She really fit the way that I wanted to play because I don't read music piano wise. I'm playing off of ear, I'm playing by feel, or I'm just accompanying the
Super
vocal,
cool.
right? So yeah, this is my way of doing things. My dad and my brother are the same way, and she's got enough of the classical and the the theoretical, but she also can really show you how to do it just by knowing what seeing how you play.
Yeah.
And she did. She came by. A good amount of times, a couple times to come and kind of just say, oh, like I could show you how you could jazz that up a bit, or how you could make that a little bit cooler. You know what I mean? And yeah, she's super talented that way.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just been like spending a lot of time alone with it, and watching good players play. And I don't want to say it's become secondary, because I'm trying to get as good at it as possible, you know what I mean? But with writing songs, it's just like however you can get it out at the time, do that, and then
of course getting out and playing live.
Get out and playing live. That's man. That's what I love doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know you got. We'll time date ourselves on the podcast just a little bit. I mean, thing lives forever, but coming up in about a week from the time we're recording this on February the 9th in Leamington, a huge showcase for you at the. Well, I like to call it the IT, but the International Hotel.
Yeah, you know, I call it the IT and the International Hotel. Yeah, but I'm excited about that. It's going to be, you know, we're looking for a good turnout. And
full band?
Full band, yep. Great musicians that I'm playing with all across the board.
Tell me some of the guys in the band.
So, you know, again, being spoiled, grabbed my dad's guitar player, snatched him up. And he's not just my dad's guitar player. He plays with a lot of great people. But his name's Garrett Blahnik, and he's from Detroit, and he's just fantastic guitar player. And, you know, he's going to really be showcasing what he can do. Awesome. Derek Impen's multi-talented musician from back home with me there, and he's unbelievable too. He can do everything, you know, from singing to playing.
Oh, he's a multi-instrumentalist for sure.
He's unbelievable. And Ron Otis is playing drums for me, and he is a world-class talent drummer. You know, plays with some great big names out there, and I'm excited to have him on board for the show too. He was in the studio doing the original recordings with me as well, so he's familiar with the songs, you know.
Cool. Yeah. So we were talking a little bit. Sometimes I like to plant requests and things like that. You and I were talking just before we got recording this thing here. You put an interesting spin on one of your dad's songs.
Yeah.
So we want to get you to play that one for us.
For sure.
So this is a version of Jody Raffoul's "She Says." Peter Raffoul, "She Says" on New Music Today here on the WePodcast Network.
She says, I want something warmer. Maybe I've got something for you. She says, maybe something smaller. Anything that's smaller won't be big enough for you. And all her sacrifices, she knows what she's got. It's really all she needs, but she goes crazy all the time. This ain't no simple life, she says. This is a sacrifice, she says. This ain't no 9 till 5, she says. This ain't no simple life. She says, I wish I was younger. I wish I was younger too. And I think things are going to get better if you believe in me. And I appreciate you. She cries, confused, she wonders why. Her dreams, they'll fade to black, and she wonders why. This ain't no simple life, she says. This is a sacrifice, she says. This ain't no 9 till 5, she says. This ain't no simple life. This ain't no simple life, she says. This is a sacrifice, she says. This ain't no 9 till 5, she says. This ain't no simple life. She says to me. She says to me. She says to me. She says.
That's Peter Raffoul's take on his dad's "She Says." You got a lot of soul deep down inside for you. You spilled your age, said 22.
Just turned 22.
I feel a lot of deep soul feeling in there, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, you know.
What is that? What do you take from that song? What does that song mean to you?
It's just I think it's besides how great of a song I think it is, I think it's so timelessly written that it's good in any era of music, and you can put any twist on it you want. I kind of slowed it down there, and he's got some tempo to it when he plays it originally. But what I think of it there is just like a it's a great relationship song. Obviously, I think that's where it stems from. You know what I mean? And but I think it's beautiful, and it's also I think it's a play off of his previous work, which was Simple Life. It's a clever line of my mom at the time. My mom saying at the time she's saying, this ain't no simple life. You know what I mean? And it's a playful fight between the two of them, and I think it's just it's so brilliantly done.
Yeah, I always took from that song, and by the way, it's hard for me to not just kind of break out and start singing along when you're doing that.
Yeah,
man.
it's so catchy, man. Yeah,
and I want to do kind of like that drum shot that's in there too. One thing I've always taken from that song is that it kind of speaks to what you were just saying, but I've talked to a lot of people about this. The music is awesome. Music is cool. It saves you. All those things. It's business at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's your job.
That's the thing. Yeah,
you got to get up and go to work.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's true for sure. It's got to be.
And the job ain't 9 to 5.
No.
Some people punch in at 9. They punch out at 5.
Yeah.
and this as a job to support yourself, does it not become all consuming?
Absolutely. It's not 9 to 5. It's closer to 9 to 9. You know what I mean? It's quite a bit of work for sure. Yeah.
Tell me about the fun side of it though for you.
Well, just that, like you get to express your feelings through of a relationship at that time. You know what I mean? And you get to express any feelings that you're having about it, and it's just such a great outlet. It's just like, and if you can do it for work, you're expressing yourself for a living. You know what I mean? You're saying what's on your mind, and you're getting those emotions and feelings out for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's the best thing you could be doing is expressing yourself that way.
Yeah. I really feel that, with any art, it is the expression. And so, I love to get into, the person who created it. Where were you coming from? Because I'm also interested in talking to somebody else about how did you feel about it, right? And I love that you have a little different take on that song as an artist who's playing it compared to the one who wrote it.
Exactly.
Because I've asked him, and the answer is a little bit different.
Well, yeah.
And that I love about music. That's what I love.
Yeah. I actually haven't asked him that. I mean, like I just thought of it straightforward. You know what I mean? It's a song that he wrote, and it's a good piece of a story of his and my mom's, and it's a great tune. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I never really asked. I kind of just knew.
Okay, I want to get some fun stuff out of you here.
Right,
I want to get some fun stuff out of you here. What is the first album that you ever paid your own money to go out and buy?
Oh wow!
You spent your own money. Not somebody gave it to you.
Yeah.
You went and said, "I'm going to buy this today." What'd you go and buy with your own money? First one you ever bought?
Jeez, that's gonna take a minute because I was as a young kid I was very into hip hop. I was very into hip hop, and I don't know. Sure. I'm trying to draw the line between when they stopped gifting them to me and said you have to buy your own stuff, and I'm just oh God. First album I bought, I want to say it was like a 50 Cent album. Like I'm saying this, and that's so off of but that's the truth. That's the truth. I think I was in grade, young, like too young to even be buying 50 Cent maybe, but like it was a while back, and I want to say that was the first album, the Massacre or something like that. 50 Cent.
Nice.
I think that's the first one that I spent my money on because it was on sale, and I saw the sticker, and I said, whatever. Right?
Do you remember the first concert you went to?
Yes, I do. Like legit, big stadium was when my dad played for Bon Jovi actually, and it was a great show. My mom took me and my brother, and we had a great time. We watched a good show. You know what I mean? And from the opening act to the actual, the show, it was a great time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then same with the record. The first concert that you said, that's it. Come on, boys. Come on, girls. We're getting in the car. We're going. Dropped your own money down on the ticket. Who'd you go to see?
I went to Detroit to see. Well, my brother and Jeff Beck. That was a great one. That was where you got to be old enough to drive your own car over the border and go to the concert, with some friends. And,
absolutely.
That was a great time. Billy had a great opening set, and Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck.
You're gonna have
Tears
a
it
good
up.
time. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Right?
that was
Yeah.
a really cool show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. And then here's the fun one. You got to embarrass yourself just a little bit.
Okay.
It's what I call the guilty pleasure song. We
Yeah.
all have one. If I hear that one song come on, maybe it's the radio, maybe I hear it on TV. You're watching a football game and it's on the stadium, and there's that one song. I don't care what anybody says about me, boy. When
Yeah.
I hear that song, I love it. What's your guilty pleasure song?
I mean, I think it's a great song. I don't even, I mean, a great song is a great song.
Absolutely.
But I'm gonna say Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
Ironic. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
You know?
I got one hand in my pocket.
Yeah, it's just like you might not want to get caught in traffic singing that by yourself, but like, man, what a song! I think that's one of them for
Cool.
sure. Yeah,
Right on. That's awesome.
I could give you 5 others because like there's a bunch of those, right?
Yeah.
Like that new Rihanna one that just came out. Not just came out now. It's that "Love on the Brain" song. You're just like it's in that 6/8 timing, and you got that sway going, and you're singing it.
Yep.
That's another one of those. But
Yeah.
great tunes.
I always feel
nonetheless.
I've been very fortunate in my life, in my career. I've kind of had a job where I get paid to listen to music. So it's like I kind of a long time ago abandoned the idea of I only listen to pop music or rock music or whatever, because
sure.
you end up and you're like, man, I don't care what you says. That one Tim McGraw song is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that Free Fallin', or
Yeah.
that not Free Fallin'.
No,
Geez
I
Louise,
know
that's
what you're
that's Tom
talking-
Petty.
Yeah, I know what you're
but
talking
the skydiving.
Yeah.
That song
Yeah.
by Tim McGraw. That's like my guilty pleasure song. And I'm not really a big country guy, but man, there's just that song gets me,
well,
man.
You find that in every genre. Like that's why, and I try to stay open to that. Like, so it's a guilty pleasure, but also you're like, as a musician and as a songwriter, I'm not going to try and feel I'm going to try and grab an inspiration from this, even if it's like way out of my realm of what I try and write. Like, and my dad will tell me, all the time, he goes, "Oh, I can hear the hip hop influence in that song that you just wrote, whether it's the rhyme scheme or whether it's this or that." And
Cool.
and yeah,
That's cool.
Those guilty pleasures actually are quite beneficial when you're going to write something,
Right on.
Yeah, man.
This is a time in the show I like to get a couple of quick shout outs in.
Yeah.
And this one's directed at Chris and Kevin Delgado, twins. They're pals of yours. I know you know these guys.
Yes.
Okay, so I had them in not too long ago, and we had we were having a great conversation, and I made a comment that I said that the Beatles have invented literally everything except what was already there before they started.
Yeah.
Right? And they kind of, well, I don't know about that. And I said, well, I make a claim that, because you mentioned a lot about hip hop and you mentioned a lot about Beatles.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw this by you here because they have a different take on me for this one.
Okay.
See, Beatles did what they call backmasking, right?
Okay.
Backmasking.
Yep.
And which is really the foundation for how in hip hop producing, and you get those layers of. So they used to take their tape, right, and they cut it up back and right, and so you think of songs like "A Day in the Life,"
Yep.
and you know what I'm talking
Of
about?
course.
What do you think? Are you with me on that one? This is just a little shot at
I'm with
twins,
you.
is all.
I love those guys. Those guys know I love them, but they also know I love the Beatles too. So I don't think they're gonna expect me to disagree with you and agree with them. So
Awesome.
you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. Those guys did it all, and everything can stem from there, from every genre. I'm not convinced otherwise. You know what I mean? I'm with you on that, man.
Okay, cool. Right on. I want to shout out to some of the other great podcasters here on the WePodcast network, including my friends Hunts and Solly. Great show. Love these guys. You're always in for a hoot with these guys. Very, very funny stuff. Love them. And thanks as always, Joe. Appreciate your time and your talents on doing this new music today. And that's going to do it for another episode of this podcast. Appreciate it. We're here on the WePodcast network. I'm Corey Robertson.